What if someone else beside you came to you and said, I want to make episode 7? Could you see that happening?
No.
Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, is the most disappointing thing since my son's court-appointed lawyer, Larry Gruber. A competent enough lawyer, but not good enough to get my son out of a 60-year prison sentence for driving his car through a Taco Bell. I mean, who hasn't driven through a Taco Bell? Most people get off with a slap on the wrist for that. All he wanted was a steak volcano queso macharito, and he was on meth. Also, he may or may not have killed someone. Now, friends, after being asleep for 3 or 8 years, I'm back. And I'm here to examine not just Star Wars The Force Awakens, but the Star Wars landscape as it appears today, as there have been many changes since George Lucas sold Star Wars to white slavers.
I sold them to the white slavers that take these things and
I mean, Disney's white slavers. I forgot the official trademark and logo their lawyers prefer. And much like the ancient storytelling art of ring composition, I'm gonna bring all this back full circle to make it utterly pointless. Ready? Here we go! Hit it, Johnny! Oh yeah, Johnny was captured by white slavers. Oh no, Johnny! Number 1. Star Wars has become a living nightmare that you can never wake up from until you're dead, and even then I can't guarantee it. The world of movies has changed dramatically in the last 10 years, my friends.
Oh my God!
Some would say for the worse. After George Lucas sold Star Wars to Disney, we discovered a terrible truth. That like Marvel, Star Wars will become the next big, endless, and pointless cinematic universe. Marvel has already produced more than 12 films and has 137 more in the works, with 3 to 4 coming out each year. And after stumbling a little out of the gate, DC is attempting to do the same damn thing. Because of Marvel's success, everybody's trying to get in on this game. There's going to be an Independence Day cinematic universe with 16 films planned, an Avatar cinematic universe with 9 sequels planned, which are all shooting at one time, a Universal movie Monsters cinematic universe. What a joke. 4 to 5 sequels are now planned even before a movie is released. It's gotten insane. And I'm insane, so you'd think I would think it's normal. Wait, what? Thankfully, some movies have contributed to slowing down this insanity, but others have not. Now, George Lucas seems like he might be a passive-aggressive kind of guy, which I can respect. I once aggressively drove someone off the road for passing me. Anyway, remember the time when George Lucas wanted to expand his studio in Marin County, California? Rich white people. And they tried to block his expansion, so then he said he was going to build a bunch of low-income housing? And those wine-slurping millionaire cracker hypocrites weren't too happy about that. That's a passive-aggressive move if I ever saw one. What a racist! So did Lucas sell Star Wars to Disney knowing that it would piss off fans?
And Disney who
He doesn't look too happy in this photo, and he did describe it as a divorce.
I'm moving forward.
So what have you been up to lately?
I'm building a museum in Chicago, and I'm raising a daughter who's 2 now, and working on my own films.
I don't think anyone buys the whole or want to focus on making personal films bullshit, do they?
They'll never be seen by anybody. They're just films for myself.
These are little tiny movies that are experimental. They aren't using the same structure.
By personal films, I assume he means this.
Well, that's a new innovation in packaging, actually. It may actually hinder tampering because it's very difficult to open, but I feel very secure with the spinach.
George Lucas sold Star Wars to basically the only company that could afford to buy it, and then they rejected all of his ideas for the next 3 films.
The beauty of the collaboration that can continue is
does this make sense within the rules of Star Wars? That really, he's the keeper of the flame when it comes to that.
It's the same thing with the first 3 films. That's all my job is to be the keeper of the flame. They decided they didn't want to use those stories. They decided they were going to go do their own thing, and so I decided.
He complained about it all over the internet. Complained about it everywhere he could.
They weren't that keen to have me involved anyway, but at the same time I said, I'm not going to, if I get in there, I'm just going to cause trouble.
He kind of acted like Cam Newton after losing the Super Bowl. Now he seems like a broken man filled with regret, cynicism, hate, and most importantly, the dark side.
You have to put it behind you, and it's a very, very, very hard thing to do.
George probably came to this decision because 1, he's too old and probably too lazy to helm another 3 films, and 2, he wanted to piss off all those people that ripped him apart. You know, all those sniveling, complaining internet armchair critics. Hey, speaking of that, this armchair I got has been acting up. I gotta get that guy out to fix it. And he better do a good job or else I'm gonna complain about how he fixed it. On the internet! I have an app on my phone called Blabber. It allows me to complain about everything. Armchair repairmen, traffic, doorknobs, Medicare, the comfort level of my prescription shoes, the bitchy checkout girl who keeps plugging her nose at me like I smell real bad. But now the reality that we all have to deal with is there's gonna be a new Star Wars film every year or so from now until we're all dead.
Yes!
The good old days of waiting 3 to 5 years between movie sequels are over. Long gone are the days of a small group of craftsmen making a film with care. It's now become an assembly line of 500,000 people and 10,000 different departments cranking this shit out. I can't even tell you how many people it takes to make those Avengers movies. Oh my god, it looks like the Vietnam War Memorial. But different. Very, very different. I mean, I'm glad everybody's working. They say the economy's bad, but Jesus Christ, this list is half the population of the country. Who's out of work? Dead people? Homeless people? It seems like everyone's a computer animator. And now there's even more dummies all over the world to consume this trash. So many Chinamen. Just a few years ago, all the Chinese did was grow rice and threaten each other with tanks. Now they're seeing movies. Their government is letting them watch movies now from America. It's like someone once said, there's a sucker born every minute. Oh yeah, it was Leo Hirschfeld, the creator of the Tootsie Pop. He was a fucking asshole. He's always trying to lick my cock.
I never made it without biting.
Anyway, Disney recently announced plans for 19 more Star Wars trilogies. It goes something like this. Episode 8, 2017. Episode 9, 2019. Episode 10, 2021. Episode 11, 2023. Episode 12, 2025. Episode 13, 2027. Episode 14, 2029. Episode 15, 2031. Episode 16, 2033. Episode 17, 2035. Episode 18, 2077. Episode 19, 2047. And so on. And all these films will be about people fighting with lightsabers, some kind of personal destiny, and a doomsday weapon. Much like every superhero movie is about an epic confrontation or a big doomsday monster. In some cases, that is literal. But in addition to the trilogies, on the off years, there's going to be a Star Wars standalone film. Maybe 2 each year, or 3 or 4. Why not? The ideas currently going around are The Young Adventures of Han Solo, a Yoda prequel, Admiral Akbar standalone adventure called Fish Face, a Jabba the Hutt drama about weight loss, Ewoks Take Manhattan, Lax Sivrak Meets the Wolfman, a Star Wars story, Lawrence Kasdan rumored to write, and so on. If The Force Awakens didn't make you sick of seeing Star Wars everywhere in every fucking facet of your life, get ready to have the next 30 to 40 years of your life ruined.
It looks like I may go on for another 50 or maybe even 100.
Thankfully, at 110 years young, I've only got a few more years left in me to deal with this. Then I can die and go to the sweet sanctuary of hell. You know, for all my misogynistic humor. Oh, and for all the hookers I killed with raid, too. Ah, the sweet silence of hell. The crackling of the fire. It reminds me of camping out as a boy in the woods of New Jersey. Ah, it's so calming. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh, thank God it was just a dream. Anyway, speaking of hell, it's hotter than Hades in here. Thank God for my fan. I don't have AC, and this little guy is the only thing keeping me from dying of heat stroke. Oh no, my fan broke. It must have short-circuited. Well, that's another thing I'll need fixed, I guess. Anyway, on with my review. Number 2, the Star Wars ring theory.
Shake that.
Now that we've set up what's going on with Star Wars, let's look at the other hellscape they call the internet, where any crackpot, idiotic college student born in 1997 or man-child blogger who has a keyboard can talk about Star Wars with the illusion of some kind of authority. Like me. Now, some of you may have heard of this or read this guy Mike Camino's article about the Star Wars ring theory. Insane people like to think that George Lucas used an ancient technique called ring composition to create a level of storytelling so sophisticated that it's unprecedented in film history.
First it's kind of an annoying, like you stepped in dog food, and then you realize what it is, and then you try to get away from it.
Or so they say. If it's such a blatantly amazing thing, then why is it called a theory? Star Wars ring theory. More like the Star Wars bling theory. Am I right?
We're in the money. We're in the money. We've got a lot of what it takes to get along.
Or that George Lucas stole a bunch of old ideas theory.
All I need is an idea.
Anywho, it's called ring theory, not ring fact, because the article states that Lucas has never spoken about it publicly. Maybe that's because he stole all of his ideas from Cliff's Notes. I caught you! Do I think this guy's article was convincing and he makes some interesting points? Well, sure. I do to a certain degree. Much like I thought Room 237 made some interesting points. Crackpots! Are the prequels masterful works of art because of this theory? No, they're a masterful work of lazy.
There you go. A first draft. Official first draft. Of course, there's a lot of cheating in there. A lot of they fight.
I'll explain more in a bit, but first, this is generally what the guy says in his article, which is called The Hidden Artistry of the Star Wars Prequels. And no, that title is not supposed to make you laugh out loud. Here's an excerpt. Lucas's use of this ancient form revises our readings of the films and the saga as a whole, and opens up a new way of thinking about Star Wars.
When I got down to some of the other movies, I was able to create an environment and a world that wasn't possible when I started the first one. So to me, in the end, getting Yoda to do a sword fight, which...
It also allows us to gain a much greater understanding and appreciation for the films, and gives us a deeper sense of the magnitude of Lucas's accomplishment. Perhaps Disney needed to secretly fund these tinfoil hat-wearing, intellectual, unemployed college philosophy majors to make the unlikable general public feel dumb for not liking dumb, unlikable movies.
I feel like it was redeemed. Star Wars was redeemed by Episode 7.
It redeemed the prequels entirely. Thank God.
These films made for children are way above your intellectual level. This was all, of course, after a certain online critic deconstructed the prequels and explained in reasonable terms why most people hate them. You know, someone who basically changed the way the internet complains about movies and paved the way for other YouTubers to complain endlessly about movies. You know, such popular channels as The Movie Blob, Cinema Crimes, Bros Know, The Popcorn Gang, Film Crappers, Every movie is terrible. Cinema de Bergerac. Your movie sucks my dick. The theater anus. The dick critic. Everything in movies is fucking wrong. Cinema smegma. Popcorn movie farts podcast. Film is toilet paper. Movie cum dumpster. Movie's bloody stool gave me AIDS. And so on. A lot of the evidence in the ring theory is mildly compelling, much like evidence presented in many theories about The Shining, the Kennedy assassination, the fake moon landings, 9/11 truthers, flat earthers, Leo's acting was good in The Revenant, and so on. One thing to keep in mind is the big C. And no, I'm not talking about
If you put your phone down, you'd know that.
I'm talking about coincidence. But let's talk about what this ring theory is, and I'm going to keep it simple because it gets pretty fucking complicated. This guy wrote a ton of pages on it, and I'm sure after a quick skim of the article, many people who didn't read the whole thing said it was brilliant. Well, I read the whole thing. Anyway, the ring theory is very complex, but yet simple at the same time. The idea is that all 6 Star Wars films form a symbiotic circle.
What happens to one of you will affect the other. You must understand this.
Kind of like the Gungans and the Naboo. Because, you know, they lived entirely independent from each other and didn't need each other at all. While most narratives tend to move from beginning to middle to end, the Star Wars saga, the first 6 films that is, comes full circle, working its way back to where it started, turning around narratively and visually at the midpoint. If you're not following along, kids, just remember these simple and fun terms that you learned on Sesame Street. Chasiatic structure, inverted parallelism, and intertextual patternings. We all know George Lucas read Joseph Campbell's Hero with 1,000 Faces and based Star Wars on the monomyth, remixed with Flash Gordon serials. Oh my god, what a ripoff! Then he stole some ideas from Kurosawa's The Hidden Fortress. It's all pretty wonderful if you ask me. The hero's journey basically looks like this. And it pretty much lines right up with Star Wars and a lot of other basic fantasy films. Ring theory is the same but a little more complex. It's more so based on the idea that good and evil are cyclical and never-ending, which falls in line with the light and the dark side of the Force. The ancient symbol of the yin-yang is presented as an example. So the ring theory says that while the films narratively play in order, they really form a circle like this. Phantom Menace and Jedi being more similar, Clones and Empire, and then Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. George himself said that he likes writing movies to music. Music is all about repetition, unless it's jazz. But that's not music. That's just terrible, terrible noise. Same with bagpipes. Anyway, we all know George Lucas's favorite line about poetry.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
So clearly his films are going to repeat things. Themes, visuals, lines of dialogue.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Very bad feeling about this.
I got a bad feeling about this.
You have to be Mr. Magoo not to see that. But unlike Back to the Future, where the gag is that history repeats itself, Star Wars seems to be doing it under the guise of having a greater spiritual and thematic purpose.
You know, George has this book, a great big leather book covered in dust. It's the Chronicles of Space, and it's there, and you've written the whole thing already, and it's, you know, it's complete in your own mind. Is that right? No, that's wrong.
In this stupid thing, the 3-act structure similarities in The Phantom Menace and Return of the Jedi are stated as follows. Notice how they're all written to make it seem more similar than they really are. 2 Jedi embark on a mission to rescue Queen Amidala from Theed Palace. 2 droids embark on a mission to rescue Han Solo from Jabba the Hutt's palace. While yes, it's true that there are 2 people going somewhere at the start of both movies, the Jedi are there for trade negotiations, only to discover later that the Queen is in danger. And R2-D2 and C-3PO are going there as part of an elaborate plan involving 5 characters. But they still open the same way, right? Boarding ships asking for permission to land and then do so. Is this intentional? Or is this just the way George Lucas writes his Star Wars movies? Let's look into all this further. Let's discuss the second and third acts. On Tatooine, a native named Anakin Skywalker befriends the Jedi and helps them fix their ship. On planet Endor, the native Ewoks befriend the rebels and help take them to the shield generator. There's a great race involving pod racers. There's a great chase involving speeder bikes. Anakin leaves his mommy to face the Jedi Council and become a Jedi. Luke leaves his friends to face Darth Vader and become a Jedi. Amidala falls into Palpatine's trap and calls for a vote of no confidence. The rebels fall into a trap and attack the Death Star?
It's a trap!
Act 3. The primitive Gungans join forces with the Naboo to defeat the evil Trade Federation in a multi-strand battle. The primitive Ewoks join forces with the rebels to defeat the evil Galactic Empire in a multi-strand battle. Then, in addition to these main plot points, the Star Wars ring theory points out other visual clues that connect the Phantom Menace with Return of the Jedi. Hooded figures walk through an arched entrance. People in a throne room watch a holographic message. A Jedi talks to a large frog or a slug and uses a Jedi mind trick. A large monster eats another monster. A dumb character thinks with his stomach. People are eating or are about to eat. Someone fucks up C-3PO's right eye. Vehicles become entangled. Bib Fortuna wakes up Jabba. Bad guy falls down a pit. Dying guy is cradled at the edge of a pit. A dead body is burned in a funeral pyre. Let's move on to Empire and Clones. Boy oh boy did I point out all these already. This room has the same lighting. Somebody jumps through glass. Falling.
I hate it when he does that.
A hand gets cut off. An arm gets cut off. A decapitation. There are control rooms. A battle involving large walking things. Luke and Anakin both have ways of taking down big things.
Aim right above the fuel cells. Rogue group, use your harpoons and tow cables. Go for the legs. It might be our only chance of stopping them.
Luke and Anakin get knocked out. Now let's stop there. This is where things get mildly confusing. Clearly these two shots are similar, right? But the ring theory suggests that Empire and Clones are inverted or reversed. Like the films don't correspond like this, but rather like this. Clones starts upside down in space, moves into the clouds, on the ground, and then ends on a dirty red planet. Empire starts on the cold ground and ascends up into the clouds. That's just overarching thematic stuff. The Hoth battle is at the beginning of Empire, and the Clone War battle on the bug planet is at the end of Attack of the Clones. But really, the crux of all this, or the real turning point as I see it, is the cave and the murder of the Tusken Raiders. Luke has a lightsaber fight with a vision of Darth Vader, and then sees his own face in the helmet, which is clearly a much better scene. And in Clones, Anakin realizes that he can't save his mommy, and he murders everyone out of anger. Both characters are tested and make good or bad choices. George Lucas has stated that the second act of a drama is when the characters are at their lowest point. This is the dark chapter, and it's certainly true. Kamino and other ring theorists, assuming there are others, suggest that this is the midpoint when the circle turns or shifts to head back towards the start of the narrative. While Empire and Clones do line up, they are inverted. But even though some other parts line up perfectly, I don't understand. Let's talk about Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. In both films we have the opening battle of Sith is kind of like the end of A New Hope. Our heroes are attempting to rescue someone from the clutches of an evil villain by sneaking around on a big thing and all the details that come with doing that. Like they use a grappling hook, they get in an elevator I guess, they have a fight with some bad guys. Obi-Wan checks to see if Luke is alive. The Emperor checks to see if Anakin is alive. There are two great disturbances in the Force. One upsets Yoda, the other one upsets Obi-Wan. 3PO drives while someone rides shotgun. And so on. The rest of the visuals that Kamino points out are relatively vague and possibly coincidental, but mildly compelling when put side by side. But again, are all these details the big C? Or is it just kind of like the ideas Lucas writes? Now you can look at all this information in one of two ways. 1. Lucas is a secret genius that used an ancient form of storytelling to craft a brilliant masterpiece that only out-of-work college philosophy majors would understand. Or 2, he discovered this idea for storytelling in a Cliff's Notes book and used the first 3 films as a template to write these movies so that he didn't have to come up with a totally original storyline. Which is why so many things seem forced, awkward, and terrible. I'll let you decide. But wait, you say? Listen to this.
Anakin, kind of duplicating the Luke Skywalker role, but you see the echo of where it all is going to go. And instead of destroying the Death Star, he destroys the ship that controls the robots. Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
Wait, that don't make sense. I thought the Phantom Menace and Return of the Jedi were supposed to line up in the ring theory. Don't a lot of things in these movies also correspond this way too? Well, yes. Yes, they do. And the ring theory fully admits this inconsistency. They have a name for it. Circles within circles. For simplicity purposes, I'm just going to list them all, and you can decide if it's part of a ring composition or just a bunch of recycled ideas. Anakin and Luke are poor guys on Tatooine. They are technically minded. Luke leaves his family to go off and be a Jedi based on the urging of a bearded man who may or may not be gay for him.
You must learn the ways of the
Anakin leaves his family to go off and be a Jedi based on the urging of a bearded man who may or may not be gay for him.
There's something about this boy.
There is a princess and a queen in peril. Boba Fett and Jango Fett. Obi-Wan cuts off a guy's arm in a seedy bar. C-3PO gets taken apart and dragged around. A gate opens, revealing a monster. People take off hoods. A probe droid is searching for them. Guy jumps over another guy and hits him with a lightsaber. Chase in an asteroid belt. Lock S-foils in attack position. Secret romance. Captured by the bad guys. White hallways. R2-D2 sticks so many things in things. Other droids mock and offend R2-D2. Leia and Padme use a chain as a weapon. The Emperor and Palpatine in a throne room chair. Our 3 main characters are trapped and have to escape. A bridge collapses. A kick flips someone backwards. Heroes are tied to things to be eaten.
I've got a bad feeling about this.
I have a really bad feeling about this.
Battle taking place outside of a window. A duel between Obi-Wan and Anakin Skywalker. Darth Vader is born. Darth Vader dies. 1950s diner with a giant... Oh, wait. Giant creatures try to eat our heroes. So a lot of similarities between the original trilogy and the prequels. Both in the ring theory way of thinking and just in random patterns. And when you can't explain an anomaly in a scientific theory, just give it a weird name. Circles within circles. So basically what George Lucas must have done was laid out all the plot details to the original trilogy on cue cards, and then made up some weird-ass plot to fit in the puzzle pieces in terms of tone and structure. Example, Luke lands on a watery planet and learns some kind of truth about something. So then Obi-Wan must also land on some kind of watery planet and learn something too. How about they learn that aliens were making clones for decades? Why not? That'll solve the problem where the clones came from, and it's around this part. To me, this might explain why the ending of Revenge of the Sith feels so rushed and odd. I complained in my review that everything felt stupid, that it had to come all the way back to where it started. Padme had to have the kids. They had to decide where they went right away. Obi-Wan and Yoda immediately went to their respective hiding places where they would stay for the next 20 years. Vader and Palpatine on the bridge of the Star Destroyer. And C-3PO and R2-D2 on the rebel ship at the end. What, they stayed there for 20 years? After so many tumultuous and ever-changing events, it seems strange that instantly and conveniently they're back at the start. Like no events of any interest transpired between episodes 3 and 4. Or not that Lucas intended. So think whatever you want on this matter. I can see some validity in what this guy is saying, but knowing George Lucas like I do, we play golf and have salad twice a month. I'm gonna go with the lazy free plot outline theory rather than the genius work of art theory. Remember, in A New Hope, Darth Vader was essentially just a henchman bad guy. Star Wars was just World War II in space. Vader being Luke's father came about in Empire, and the whole turning him to good thing was mainly in Jedi. The whole Space Jesus 360-degree bullshit came much, much later. He'd finished the fucking script like a week before they started filming. You think all this was intricately planned out? You must be nuts.
Oh, so we spent $100,000 on that suit that we didn't need to spend.
Well, but the suit is actually extremely useful for,
This is fucking grim.
About as intricately planned out as my last bowel movement.
It's only about, 7 or 8 pages.
Oh, that's brilliant. All these people think you've schemed the whole thing up, but in fact, George Lucas, he makes it up as he goes along.
Whoa!
Oh, come on. This thing's always fucking going by itself. Jesus Christ. Where's that armchair repairman at? I called him like weeks ago now. Oh, come on in. It's unlocked. Just be careful not to step in any cat piss. Finally, you're here. Jesus Christ. I've been waiting weeks to have my armchair repaired. Hello? Are you fucking deaf? You are here to fix my armchair, right?
Oh, yes, yes, that's precisely why I'm here. I'm here to fix your armchair. But I've never fixed this type of armchair before. I guess I'll just have to make it up as I go along, right?
Sure, whatever. Geez, they're hiring you armchair repair guys a little old now, aren't they? What are you, like 80 or 90? Whatever. Just get to work fixing my armchair so I can sit in it and complain about movies that other people worked really hard on while accomplishing absolutely nothing myself. Get to work!
Anything you say, Mr. Plinkett.
Part 2. Number 3. Idiotic millennials rethink the Star Wars prequels. Shortly after Disney purchased Star Wars in 2012, mysteriously, love began to return to the prequels. It's like bloggers and websites secretly received checks from Disney to write articles about how the prequels weren't as bad as everyone remembers. Maybe this resurgence was real. Maybe it was Disney stoking the fires to try to revalue a piece of this very expensive property it just purchased. You know, how are you going to do a backstory about how Dexter Jetster got his 1950s diner if everybody hates the prequels? Who really knows? First of all, get this right out of the bat. People can be nostalgic for things from their youth. Yes, that's true. But it's universally agreed that some things do not hold up over the passage of time. Things like The Goonies, Teen Witch, Kathleen Turner, Little Monsters starring Fred Savage and Fred Savage's larger tumor, Hackers, You've Got Mail, Red Dawn, and Beverly Hills 90210. I'm 115 years old, so running water and antibiotics are still a novelty to me. But then there are people born in the 70s and early 80s that are legit nostalgic about Star Wars. But you know what? That's a fact. What is also a fact is that the original trilogy is great and stands the test of time, and that the prequels are big, giant piles of horse shit. The proof, my friends, is in the free market. Go capitalism. Just look at all the Star Wars related products that are everywhere. Leaving The Force Awakens aside, tell me how often you see products for little Anakin.
I'm a person and my name is Anakin.
Or Jar Jar Binks. Or psychotic angry Anakin. Whoops, wrong picture. Or Gungans, or Battle Droids, or Padme, or Boss Nass, or any other shit from the prequels on your can of soup, or your bath rug, or whatever shitty product is made in Vietnam. I made a product in Vietnam when I was a colonel over there. His name or her name was like Sung Yi or Yang Wu or something. And it doesn't really matter anyway, because I think the napalm got him. Or as I called it back then, birth control. But anyway, every fucking Star Wars product out there is always Darth Vader, Luke, Han, Leia, C-3PO, R2-D2, Yoda, the Death Star, the Millennium Falcon, Stormtroopers, Chewbacca. Did I say Yoda? So why is there all this fraudulent prequel love all of a sudden? After surviving another suicide attempt, I decided to read these articles. And believe you me, for some reason there isn't a short supply of them. I won't bore you with all the details of each article, but after reading them all, I discovered 3 modes of excuse making. I mean thinking. 3 modes of thinking. I respect my intellectual peers. Number 1, pointless list making. Number 2, dumb observations. Number 3, overly intellectualizing. Let's start with the worst of these 3, pointless list making. These articles are pure clickbait. The articles are the worst of the worst. First of all, listing the things you thought were good doesn't make for a good overall argument. Example, here's my made-up clickbait article. The top 5 reasons why the Back to the Future trilogy is better than the original Star Wars trilogy.
Number 1, the DeLorean time machine. I don't remember Yoda using something so awesome. He just sat in a hut and made terrible soup. As smart as he was, he couldn't come up with the flux capacitor. Number 2, Lorraine's rack. Don't recall Carrie Fisher showing off the goods. Oh wait, she did. But still not as good.
You're so big.
Number 3, hoverboards are awesome. While Star Wars did have a lot of cool floating tech like the speeder bikes and Luke's land speeder, one thing it didn't have was hoverboards. Luke could really do some damage with his lightsaber if his hands were free. Just saying. Number 4, time travel. Duh. If they had that, they could have stopped the Death Star before it was built. Idiots. Marty could have stole the Death Star plans just like he stole the sports almanac. Number 5, Marty McFly was more clever than Luke. Marty got free transportation, could do cool skateboard tricks, and survived a showdown by being clever. All Luke did was get bested by some Tusken Raiders, and then he got his hand cut off.
That's my article. Thanks for clicking on it, you fuck. So needless to say, I'm not going to spend a lot of my time on this shit. Now, for your viewing pleasure, I've compiled my own list of things that are mentioned in these, quote, articles. Notice how none of these things have anything to do with how great the stories were, how emotionally involved in the films you were, or how they inspired you.
I got him! Great kid! Don't get cocky!
Again, it's like picking the positives of cancer. You get to stay home from work. You save money at the barber shop. Eat what you want and still lose weight. But anyway, most people, including me, seem to agree on a lot of the basics, like Ewan McDonald does a great performance as Obi-Wan. Ian McDiarmid is always awesome as the Emperor, and John Williams makes good music, even if he does it on the toilet. Aside from that, check out all the gems these brain-dead, lightsaber-loving morons have cooked up.
Next level lightsaber battles, enhanced choreography, superior lightsaber battles, mass Jedi showdown, returning cast members, planets, and more planets. The birth of Darth Vader.
Wasn't that terribly embarrassing, though?
Yoda can fight, bro. Bridging the gap.
Bridging the gap? Why does that matter?
Incredible design work.
Yeah, there's a lot of talented people in Hollywood that do a lot of talented things.
The detail in the worlds. The major expansion of the universe.
Oh, like Dexter Jettster's restaurant?
Expanded mythology.
Like midichlorians?
The cast. Casting.
Yippee!
Some amazing action sequences.
You mean like this one?
The positive additions to the Jedi mythology.
Here's my favorite, and this is real.
They were as good as they could possibly have been. You were probably a kid the first time around.
I wasn't. I was 96.
Jar Jar Binks is no more annoying than C-3PO. We get to see Jedis in action. Revenge of the Sith is darker than The Empire Strikes Back.
And this one is also real.
The fact that they exist at all is worth celebrating.
What?
What?
Unforgettable moments.
Unforgettable moments? That doesn't mean anything. There's a lot of unforgettable moments, good and bad.
No more loose ends. The sprawling story. Universe building. Watching them in order is now better. Darth Maul.
What a cool costume. And a cool lightsaber.
Mace Windu.
What an intriguing character. What a cool lightsaber. Now it's time to talk about dumb observations. While listing the things that are bright and shiny might qualify as dumb observations, some of these idiots expanded things even further. Like, for example, everyone seems to love Mace Windu for some reason, mainly because he's played by Samuel Jackson. And everyone loves Samuel L. Jackson. But why? Here's some interesting answers.
Before Samuel L. Jackson slipped into the Mace Windu Jedi robes, there was no such thing as a purple lightsaber. In fact, so far as we know, Mace Windu's the only Jedi that's ever gonna have one. The prequels gave us enough scenes with Jackson to understand his no-nonsense approach to things.
What? Who wrote that? Some kind of moron?
I sense a plot to destroy the Jedi.
Then in my research, I found an alarming, reoccurring excuse for Jar Jar Binks, and it was to hate on C-3PO.
How rude!
Well, there's also Jar Jar Binks, of course. And yes, Binks is an irritant with a semi-comprehensible speech pattern. But is he that much worse than C-3PO in the original trilogy, who spends a lot of Empire naysaying so frequently and virulently that he often seems to be rooting against his supposed friends?
Geez, at least they didn't call him a homo. But C-3PO was never rooting against his friends. He was just complaining or worrying about himself. He had motivations for his actions. Oh God, why am I even talking? Now on to the next collective dumb observation from these articles. The romance parts are okay, as long as they don't talk.
Anakin and Padme's romance can appear downright lovely when it's communicated visually. Like their kiss as they're let out to die in the Geonosis arena. Rather than verbally, like Anakin's ranting about sand. Although, let's be real, Anakin's hatred of sand is on point. It sucks, it does get everywhere.
Excuses for the boring talking parts.
Watching the Star Wars prequel trilogy is like the most entertaining lesson in civics ever given. Specifically, the way it reveals how even a republic peopled by representative leaders with the best intentions can make decisions that result in disastrous policies, accompanied by devastation and the crumbling of great ideas.
How exciting! I want to play that in my backyard when I'm a kid.
I got you now, Ben Kenobi.
The first movies are only good because some of us liked them as a kid and they didn't.
Those first Star Wars movies feel personal to a lot of viewers, but that feeling comes from the memories associated with them, more so than the movies themselves, because I'm a millennial psychologist.
Lightsabers are awesome!
Fact! The lightsaber battles in the prequels are just better than those in the original trilogy. And that's a fact.
I guess technically that's true. More lightsabers are even more awesomer. I guess the article's pretty accurate.
The original trilogy showcased only 3 lightsaber fights, once per film. Lucas decided to up the ante and double down on lightsaber fights in the prequel trilogy, and boy did it pay off. We see so many great encounters, each one as thrilling as the next. These include fights with Darth Sidious, Yoda, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Anakin, Mace Windu, General Grievous, Count Dooku, and Darth Maul. I remember the first time I saw Darth Maul versus Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. It was beyond epic. I was 4.
overly intellectualizing. Another pretty consistent argument for the prequels being good is that they are smarter than you, or rather smarter than you think. Now, I'm not talking about the ring composition stuff, I'm talking politics. People often associate the prequels with the trade dispute that kicks off the Phantom Menace and subsequent scenes of people talking in the Senate and offices and boring rooms and so on. The original trilogy was set in a universe where the politics were in place. The Empire was bad. Essentially, it was World War II in space. The Empire was just Nazis. Things back then in the 1940s were more clear-cut, more black and white. The prequels showed us a different side of politics. The awful boring kind. The C-SPAN kind. Less Audie Murphy and more Peter Murphy. You know, member of the Maryland House of Delegates from the 28th District. But anyway, the prequels were more about how a democratic republic can slowly transform into an evil dictatorship or an empire.
The Republic will be reorganized into the first galactic empire.
This was done through lies, manipulation.
Misa proposed that the Senate give immediately emergency powers to the Supreme Chancellor.
And fear-mongering by Palpatine. It's important to note that the prequels were written during the time of the Bush administration and the Iraq War. There are many allusions to this. The most obvious are Obi-Wan's line about the Sith.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
Either you are with us, or you are with the terrorists.
If you're not with me, then you're my enemy.
And then Natalie Portman's line.
And all nations should know America will do what is necessary to ensure our nation's security.
So this is how liberty dies. With thunderous applause.
My resolve has never been stronger.
The resolve of our great nation is being tested.
People were freaking out about the Patriot Act, which was signed into law in 2001. This meant the CIA could listen to my calls, which are usually for phone sex, to order pizza, or for pizza phone sex. Oh yeah. Stick that sausage deep in my crusty dough hole until my sauce comes. Yeah. Honey, you want to taste my pizza? You want to taste my filthy, greasy pizza? Yeah. Yeah, can you lick it through the phone like Freddy Krueger? Oh, yeah, here it is. Oh, fuck. The sentiment at the time was that if you didn't like W, he was going to become Palpatine. I mean, the idea is fine, but the world we live in today is a lot more gray politically than it was in World War II. Who is good? Who is bad? Who can we trust? Are our freedoms being taken away? Can we get them back? Is someone going to take my gun away? Did China put toxins in my cat food? Is that why my cats keep dying? Or is it because I f***ed them too hard? These are all valid questions. You know what? Just leave the political metaphors to Star Trek, a sci-fi show that seamlessly blended in current political topics into its stories without feeling heavy-handed. Well, at least not always heavy-handed. Topics like racism, genocide, the Cold War, falling in love with an ugly tranny, death, witch trials, assisted suicide, accepting other weird-ass cultures and their stupid, backwards ways.
How dare you? How dare you criticize my way of life and my beliefs?
Geez, sorry, lady, I was just talking. Be thankful I didn't criticize your hair. A blind black nerd who can't get laid by a racist white lady who doesn't like blind black nerds, and so on.
I don't know, I was sort of ahead of my time with Red Tails. You know, an all-black film.
Fact. In his older years, Lucas became known as a kook, so I don't put it past him to attempt to make the Star Wars prequels about something bigger than what it was. He accomplished his task of creating a sci-fi film about the hero's journey, and then had to live under the shadow of The Empire Strikes Back, one of the greatest films ever made, for which he had the least to do with creatively. He desperately needed Star Wars to be about something bigger and greater than just popcorn entertainment, so he went back to his classic literature book and his Cliff's Notes to search for ideas.
And action!
In conclusion, so basically what I'm saying with all this is that, like a midget in a grocery store, you're all reaching. Oh, gee, sir, I'm sorry it's so hot in here. My only fan just broke recently. I did call a guy to come out and fix it, though. He should be here real soon. Oh, wait, there he is now. Come on in, the door's unlocked. Just don't step in any of the cat piss.
Hi, I'm from JJ's fan service. Here to fix your fan. Oh, hey, George. What are you doing here?
Hi, JJ. I see you brought your corporate tool. Oh, wait, that's you.
Very funny. See that Disney sent you off and running with your red tail between your legs.
What? All right. Enough with the obvious puns, you two. Just get to work and fix my shit.
Guess we both came here to do the same job, eh?
Well, you came here to do a cheap ripoff of the job I did 40 years ago.
Eh, got paid.
How about a collaboration?
All right.
Collaboration on what? What are you guys doing? Why are you coming at me with weapons? Oh my God! Part 3. Number 4. Waking a sleeping giant.
No, absolutely, positively, you're really closing the door without any wiggle room whatsoever.
Right. There is no episode 7.
Well, I guess money can change anyone's mind. With cash, you can buy any meal at the mall food court.
I don't need the money.
George credited internet bullies as the reason why he sold Star Wars to Disney. Gee, I hope he wasn't talking about me. Maybe he was talking about Cinematic Rectum's Star Wars prequel reviews. But alas, here we are. Disney now owns Star Wars and has the rights to dig deep into that gold mine for as long as they want. And put their hands deep into your ass wallets, scraping out every bit of profit they can. Lucas seemingly has no control anymore since he gave them some ideas he had and they laughed at him and asked him to leave.
I will go my way and I'll let them go their way.
As he left, he reportedly fell down the stairs, dusted himself off with embarrassment, and then stepped on a rake. But what were those ideas? Who knows? I know 2 guys who'd love to talk to him about it. Also, Mr. Lucas, please consider Milwaukee for your Star Wars museum. We got great things here like beer, cheese, the world's largest music festival, a bronze statue of the Fonz, and plenty of crime. Oh wait, I live in New Jersey. Anyway, then we hear that JJ Abrams is signed on to direct Star Wars Episode 7. This was of course an idea I suggested years ago based on his exciting and energetic Star Trek films. He seemed more suited for the Star Wars universe than the Star Trek one. Oh my God, how embarrassing. And he did do a great job making the film. The original cast would be back in some degree. Lawrence Kasdan was rumored to write. John Williams would return to write the score. And more importantly, JJ wanted to focus his efforts on making it look like a Star Wars film, utilizing real sets, locations, props, creatures, and even shooting it on real film with some of the original lenses used on A New Hope. I recall making a lot of these suggestions. Where's my check? Number 1, real sets and less CGI. 2, stormtroopers as real people. 3, real actual stormtrooper costumes, not cartoons. emotional, real, raw lightsaber battles. So with these things done right, what could have possibly gone wrong? Well, not too much. More missed opportunities than things gone wrong. Let me explain. Star Wars Episode 7 is like a beautiful new home.
We're home.
You walk in it, and it has a lot of the stuff your old home had. And a lot of stuff every home should have. A kitchen, stove, a couch, a toilet, bedrooms, etc. You walk through it for that first couple of times and you say, wow, this is a nice home. But behind the walls are some termites and a few load-bearing Krusty the Clown posters.
I wouldn't take it down if I were you. It's a load-bearing poster.
As Ned Flanders said, you can't live in good intentions.
Well, my family and I can't live in good intentions, Marge.
You know, it's being done with such love and such enthusiasm from everybody.
What do you think of the house that Love built? Oh, shoot.
My first reaction to this film was a moderately positive one. That's because I was on Vicodin, but as the dust settles, some cracks appeared. Not so much in plot holes or shitty execution, because it's a fun, well-made movie. But the cracks are in the mystery that's behind it. Unlike Yoda, I'm able to sense the dark side. The soulless, evil force that is the Hollywood machine and their manipulative string pulling. The Hollywood machine is in full effect and it's got its filthy hands on my Star Wars. The smartest thing Harrison Ford did was get out early. Spoilers. He died. Not Harrison Ford, surprisingly, but Han Solo. I never thought I'd say these words, but the olden days of an insane elderly kook running the show now seems quaint. Now these guys are in charge. And it's a fucking factory, folks. So now I'm gonna analyze the shit out of all of this. All cylinders are firing. I just smoked a fucking crack pipe too. Number 5, the soft reboot. Remakes have gotten very, very old. Only mental patients like them. Hollywood made remakes because of the title and brand recognition. But when that started to fail, they shifted gears to a concept called soft rebooting. Meaning that it's a remake, yes, but it's also kind of a sequel, so it's not a remake. Only some of us that have an IQ above 80 can recognize this. Some recent examples are the Vacation movie with Ed Helms. It's essentially an attempt to remake the Vacation movies. Helms plays a grown-up Rusty, who goes on the same exact plot as the first movie, to get to Wally World. There's also a cameo by Chevy Chase. Rumors are swirling about another Gremlins film. It probably won't be called Gremlins 3, but it'll have Zach Galligan in it as Billy Peltzer. And it'll have a cameo warning a new kid about the Mogwai and the 3 rules. So it's not a remake. It'll technically still exist in the Gremlins universe and timeline, but who are we kidding, folks? Another good example is Jurassic World. Some hints and references to the fact that the events of Jurassic Park happened, but it's basically the same movie. Dinosaur Park happens. Dinosaur Park runs amok, and then we realize not to fuck around with nature. But anyway, these films aren't on the same level as Star Wars. In hindsight, one of the good things about the prequels is not the lightsaber fights, but the fact that they weren't soft reboots.
They wanted to do a retro movie. I don't like that. Every movie I worked very hard to make them different.
They were terrible, yes, but they were totally different movies. They had a lot of callbacks and Star Wars hallmarks, but they were really different films. In hindsight, I can say that that's at least a positive. I have to go wash my mouth out with soap. Now, is it fair to call one of the most financially successful movies of all time a soft reboot scam that tricked billions of people? Yes, 'cause it was. You've been caught red-handed. I mean red-armed. And much like the tricks Candy turns in the back alley, it was pretty good. A decent length for my money's worth. And it gave me AIDS. Number 6, these reboots were made for walking.
Nothing's changed, really. I mean, everything's changed, but nothing's changed. That's the way you want it to be, really.
So George offered up a bunch of terrible, strange, salad-filled ideas to Disney, and they basically told him to get fucked. He later admitted that they just wanted to do fan service.
They looked at the stories, and they said, we want to make something for the fans.
When making the first film that is supposed to set up a cinematic universe, the last thing you want to do is to make a terrible, off-putting movie your audience hates. Whoops. But yeah, Disney didn't get to where they're at by making terrible and offensive movies.
Appears to me that you was in a powerful bad mood to go to the party.
I ain't going to no party.
Sure hope you know what you was doing.
Oh my God. But is The Force Awakens too similar to A New Hope? Is it meant to be?
Only do something that's proven. Let's not do any. You gotta remember, Star Wars came from nowhere. There was nothing like it. Now, if you do anything that's not a sequel, or it doesn't look like one, they won't do it. They say, we want something that we know.
So that's the downside of Star Wars.
That's the downside of Star Wars. And it really shows an enormous lack of imagination and fear of creativity on the part of an industry.
I'm sure his return will be celebrated as much as the return of any character.
The movie business is exactly like professional gambling. Except you hire the gambler. Usually some crazy kid with long hair who's like, I don't get this guy at all. You give him $100 million and you say, go to the tables and come back with $500 million. That is a risk. Now, the studios don't want to think of it that way. They say, well, maybe if we told him that he couldn't bet on red, maybe if we told him, because we did market research and we realized that red wasn't, so they tried to minimize their risk. But once and of course, you're hiring the kid to take risks, to be creative, to do things that have never been done before, never been tested. You have no idea whether they're going to work or not. That's completely the antithesis of what a big modern corporation is.
Well, let's get down to it and talk about the similarities. And I'm well aware I'm not the first person to notice all this, but it must be discussed. Also, please remember there is a built-in defense for all of this.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
The old Lucas logic that this kind of history repeats itself, or its themes, callbacks, homage, whatever you want to call it, it's somewhat acceptable in this film, but only in this film. Also, I threw in a couple of moments and visuals taken from Empire and Jedi as well. If you got a problem with that, you could stick your complaints right up your ass. Open with the Star Destroyer, stormtroopers attacking people, arrival of a Darth Vader type character looking for something, Resistance member hides secret plans in a droid. This is a rescue, as he takes his helmet off.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you. This is a rescue.
Characters escaped Star Destroyer. Character is stranded on a desert planet. Meets local.
I want to know what happened to the plans they sent you. I want that map.
I've never met a resistance fighter before.
You know of the rebellion against the Empire?
Luke Skywalker. I thought he was a myth.
Old Ben lives out beyond the Dune Sea. He's kind of a strange old hermit.
For your sake.
For your sake, I suggest you get it. I hope so, Commander, for your sake.
Vader and Ren choke one of their own. Droid or droids wander the desert. Meets small scavengers. Rey and Luke are both orphaned junkers. Brown hover speeder. Both eat weird food, getting sold out by a weirdo. The Falcon flies out of a hangar bay while still inside of it. TIE fighters attack the Falcon. They fire back with the machine gun thing. Hiding under the Falcon floor after being boarded. Escape in a ship that's called a piece of junk.
What a piece of junk! That was garbage!
Talking about the Force while traveling somewhere. Space chess. Blaster ball. BB-8 and R2-D2 roll around. Han offers main character a job.
Why don't you come with us? You're pretty good in a fight. Could use you.
I've been thinking about bringing on some more crew, Ray.
Cantina scene with weird aliens. Booking transport in a weird alien cantina. Fake prisoner plan. Luke and Rey are overwhelmed with their situation and run away. Starkiller or Death Star destroy a planet as an example of what it can do. Military meeting to discuss how to blow up the Death Star or the Starkiller base. Sneaking around Death Star to shut down the shields or shut down the tractor beam. Jedi mind trick on a stormtrooper. Leia in control room as weapon charges or comes in range.
I've been waiting for you, Obi-Wan. I've been waiting for this day for a long time.
Mentor or father figure dies and leads to killing stormtroopers. X-Wings fly towards Death Star. X-Wings fly down a trench on the Death Star and shoot at a thing. Flying the Falcon inside a spaceship or Death Star. Sitting down after a great disturbance in the Force. Han puts explosive charges on a thing that'll blow up and disable shields.
I am your father. In the hands of your father.
Bad guy talks to a giant hologram. A monster belches after eating someone. Chewbacca's growl scares away a droid. Rey and Luke play pretend with spaceshipy things. Han and Chewie go through or come out of a diamond-shaped blast door. Lightsaber stuck in the snow gets pulled out, but Jedi magic. Lightsaber right by your fucking face. Falcon and X-Wings fly away from exploding Death Star or Starkiller base. Help is sought out for an injured character after the big weapon is destroyed. Giant weapon thing, planet thing blows up. Number 7, The Force Awakens, but it slept through some things. When I give Force Awakens a pass for being a, quote, play it safe, soft reboot, or, quote, just setting the stage, or reintroducing a new generation to what Star Wars is who may have never seen it, I recall using the same stupid logic with Star Trek to Star Trek. A film that was a pointless villain of the week movie that basically served the ultimate purpose of just getting Kirk into the captain's chair. Surely they'll take it in a different direction. Oh wait, it's just the Wrath of Khan. Oh my god, how embarrassing. Albeit not beat for beat, but it's the Wrath of Khan. Big movies can now only do two things. Revenge from some guy or a giant doomsday weapon, which is usually fueled by revenge from some guy. Granted, the original Trek features were never brilliant works of art, but they did tell weird stories about time traveling to get whales, a crazy guy who wants to find God, putting Spock's soul back into his body, a sentient satellite named Vagina who wanted to mate with its creator, and a wonderful film that mirrored the US-Soviet Cold War right as it came to an end. Only one film was about a guy who wanted revenge. I think Abrams and Disney knew what elements worked with Star Wars and what people liked about it. Destiny, family, bad guys with big bad plans. Darth Vader type guy who said more than 3 words. Battles, adventures, light humor, chases, and most importantly, lightsaber battles with emotion. With the exception of Finn awkwardly fighting that stupid cattle prod wielding stormtrooper, we barely see any lightsabers in the film. I recall saying this in my Revenge of the Sith review, that bigger isn't always better. I would have been very happy to see Anakin just fight Obi-Wan on the side of a volcano with some trees, some fake lava, and a smoke machine. We actually got a fight just like that in The Force Awakens. They didn't fight for 2 hours in 5 locations, just a short, brutal fight in the cold woods. We liked Rey, we liked Finn. They were both nice minorities, and we thought Kylo Ren was an unstable, childish prick who deserved to get bested. That sequence was very Star Wars. Kylo Ren was a much different villain than we've seen before too. People have called him Emu, because he pouted, needed validation, and so desperately wanted to be cool and evil and respected. But he actually had a past and some layers. Oh, sorry Darth Maul. I'm not gonna miss you. Bye!
I know where you come from. Before you called yourself Kylo Ren.
Luke tried to train him, but he was seduced by the dark side apparently. As Willy Wonka once said, he was a bad egg.
Who do you play when your kid is a rat panther? pampered and spoiled like a Siamese cat. Blaming the kids is a lie and a shame. You know exactly who's to blame. The mother and the father.
And that can happen. Just look at my fucking son. Now every day when I eat Taco Bell, I think of him. Then things started to go south for me. While I appreciate the attempt to recreate the magic of the original Star Wars movies, you know, with the same approaches to the production, I thought some tweaking of the storyline might have been beneficial. So get ready, kids. Here's what you've all been waiting for. Number 8, things that suck about The Force Awakens. Number 1, why didn't Finn get a horrible bacterial infection after drinking standing water with monster saliva in it? Doesn't JJ Abrams know about science? Finn was easily able to take off his stormtrooper helmet without unlocking anything. And why didn't their helmets fall off? Clearly this is a major plot hole. 3, Rey slides down the huge sandhill on a piece of metal or something. But how did she get up there? I don't see footprints. That's one hell of a climb that probably took all day and made her really thirsty and pass out from heat exhaustion. I don't buy it for a minute. Wait, you're that close to the Republic homeworld and you take the droid to this shady cantina? Oh, I guess you don't have a fast method of transportation. Oh. Number 6, Kylo Ren prays to Darth Vader's helmet for strength and being evil. But this is the guy that killed the Emperor. What a hoax! Number 7, the First Order really wanted that droid captured or destroyed, yet they don't send more than a few TIE fighters to stop the Millennium Falcon.
Call in the airstrike.
When this scene happened in A New Hope, those TIE fighters weren't meant to stop them because they put a tracking device on the ship. There was a fake attack so that they thought they escaped.
They let us go. It's the only explanation for the ease of our escape.
Easy? You call that easy?
They're tracking us.
Not this ship, sister.
Capture the droid if we can, but destroy it if we must.
If they wanted to blow them up, they would have done this.
You're not hauling Rathars on this freighter, are you?
I'm hauling Rathars.
Number 8, how does Finn know what a Goosebumps slime monster is, but not know about Wookiees?
I need help with this giant hairy thing! Stop moving!
They have like a whole race and a whole planet and everything.
You can understand that thing?
Oh my god. Anyway, I'm just kidding, kids. These are obvious, pointless nitpicks left to the guys at Cinematic Rectum. But let's talk about it seriously. Here's my only major issue with The Force Awakens. In Star Wars A New Hope, it was satisfying when Obi-Wan said Vader murdered Luke's father and that Vader was a pupil of his who was seduced by the dark side.
Who was a pupil of mine until he turned to evil.
I just said that! AKA Vader's the bad guy. We got to know Luke Skywalker and his boring, moisture-farming life. Then hear about these legends of old, knights and Clone Wars, and most importantly, the Force. All these ancient mysteries that were dead and buried that he was about to rediscover. They were personified in Obi-Wan. This was exciting to him, to escape his boring life with his shitty foster parents and go out to find something better and more exciting. This is where it's physical proof that The Force Awakens was a soft reboot, because the 10 or so years leading up to The Force Awakens would have made a much more interesting movie. We already know all this stuff about the dark side and the Force and what happened before. Repeating the Luke narrative this time with a girl is boring, but the real audience are these kids. I guess they need to experience Star Wars for the first time or something. What? Don't their shitty parents have a fucking DVD player? Here's what I want to know, or what I'd like to have seen. Let's see Luke trying to train the Knights of Ren. Let's see it go bad and why. What exactly happened there, and why was Kylo Ren tempted by the dark side? Was it because Daddy and Mommy didn't get along? Solo was probably a shitty father, and Leia was probably always too busy to be a good mother. Did that contribute to it? Also, we see the remnants of what appears to have been a final or very costly battle of the old Empire. How did the First Order regain power? Why was Leia still leading a resistance movement at 78 years old? They talk of a Republic fleet. Why was the Resistance even called a Resistance? They should have been called the Status Quo, or the Republic Forces. And the First Order would have been the ones struggling to regain power. How did they get funding to build a weapon of that size? Remember, it took 19 years to build the original Death Star. I guess this one took 30 years? So after a crushing defeat and no Republic support, the First Order had the cash to build that thing? And all those new ships and stuff? Who's paying for all this? Hologram Gollum? Does he print Sith cash? And assuming that Starkiller base took so long to build, at no point did nobody notice they were doing it, where was hotshot pilot Poe Dameron then? I know where he was. At pilot school. How about this? Everyone in the New Republic is sitting pretty. Maybe a nice role reversal. The New Republic builds the super weapon as the ultimate defense against any attack by the fledgling First Order, which are kind of a joke to the galaxy after they got bested by Ewoks. Their weapon system would kind of be like Ronald Reagan's Star Wars program, no pun intended. Seriously. But then Leia says, this weapon makes me nervous, and it's against our values and morals. Let's dismantle it. But then, a rebel group from the First Order steals the weapon. Maybe blows up the Republic's home planet, or does some kind of major damage. This forces Han Solo out of his private life as a smuggler. You know, because he wants to see if Leia's okay. And then Leia has to flee from her cushy position of power and is forced back into the rebel underground movement, for which she is unprepared. The act of seeing this big attack by the First Order is what causes Finn to go AWOL. This event causes a major shift in the Force. Waves of the dark side are awoken. This wakes up the Gollum, or whatever his name was, which messes up Luke's training and brings out the dark side in Kylo and his new followers. There is now an imbalance of the Force. We discovered that Ren was really just looking for power, and now he sees that it's more attainable via Snoke and the First Order. Maybe then we could have seen Han and Luke on screen together before Luke ran away into hiding. Maybe Han could have said, "You can't run away from your problems, Luke." Then Luke could say, "Isn't that what you did, Han?" Han would half smile and say, "Take care of yourself, kid." And Luke would say, "You too." You know, like a nice little callback to the scene in Empire.
You too.
We'd then later in the film find out this is the last time they see each other. Oh well, I guess. Han's dead now and Luke was just pissing off a cliff. Who cares? Or yeah, instead we got a repeat of a story we've seen before. New Luke. New sort of Han.
Guys, we got a lot of company! Luke, we're gonna have company!
New R2-D2-C3PO combination. New Obi-Wan. New Vader. New Tarkin. New Yoda. New Emperor. New Death Star. And so on and so on. Same old, same old. There are some genuine mysteries in The Force Awakens that are left open. Like, who is Snoke? Is he the famous Darth Plagueis?
Darth Plagueis was a dark lord of the Sith, so powerful and so wise, he could use the Force to influence the midi-chlorians to create life.
He's got some kind of horrible scar on his face, so maybe he survived Palpatine's murder attempt. Or he could just be some kind of generic random Sith Lord. Is he actually what his hologram shows? Or is that a mask? Maybe it's Luke Skywalker controlling everything from his secret island, like the Wizard of Oz. It's not too far-fetched. We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful wizard of old. We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful wizard of old.
They smelled it! Oh, what a world, what a world! Who would have thought a good little girl like you could destroy my beautiful wickedness?
And also, the character of Rey has stirred up some controversy as well. She may appear to be a Luke clone on the surface. Oh, sorry, Boba Fett, no offense. But hopefully there might be a twist. I've heard an interesting theory about this. The idea that Rey might be a vergence of the Force.
A vergence, you say?
Located around a person?
AKA a virgin birth. a.k.a. the reincarnation of Anakin Skywalker, a.k.a. female Darth Vader. Oh, well, probably not like that. Jesus Christ, I hope not like that. Which makes sense why she was left on a planet alone. Probably not by her, quote, family, but probably by Luke. You see, she's darn good with technical stuff. And most importantly, when she touched the lightsaber, she got flooded with memories. One most interesting being of her in the Empire dual hallway on Cloud City. Why would just some Force-sensitive girl have those kind of flashbacks when she just touched a lightsaber? Remember when Maz Cantina, or as she's known on the streets, Butthole Eyes, said the saber, quote, called out to her?
It calls to you?
Will they take Rey and make her slowly turn to the dark side? Also, Finn asked her how she did something, and she said she didn't know.
How did you do that?
I don't know.
No
I've
one
learned some
trained
ships, but I've never left the planet. Your last
That
ship
was
dead.
amazing.
I.e., she's got those Force reflexes and the instincts to think one step ahead before it happens. Just like little Anakin. Or would it be too sexist to have a girl be a bad character? Will Kylo slowly turn back to the light side to help save her? But the most important question of all is who's gonna be the bottom?
Got a boyfriend? Cute boyfriend?
None of your business, that's why.
I mean, do we really need more gay characters in Star Wars?
Thank the Maker. This oil bath is going to feel so good.
Number 9, fan service and comedy. In addition to all the missed opportunities to tell an actual 7th film in the series,
there is no episode 7.
There's a little too much fan service for my tastes. Sometimes you gotta ask, do we really even need the Millennium Falcon in the movie? I guess so. But couldn't Rey and Finn have had a new ship? Like maybe this one? Or what if we just didn't have it in the movie? Oh, God. Okay. Wait. How about some new ship that they got? One that could potentially even be better than the... Okay, I see why they put it in the movie. Well, if we put that in, let's put everything else in. Chessboard, blaster ball, trash compactor reference.
Trash compactor?
Cantina band, Gonk droid, Admiral Akbar and Neum Nub, gas masks, and Kelvin Bacon.
Stay off Kelvin Ridge.
Lastly, with the exception of C-3PO saying some comments here and there, I don't recall too much comedy in the original trilogy, especially slapstick. I said the original trilogy, not that crap. Generally, the Death Star was a scary place. It's kind of tense when Obi-Wan is sneaking around. In this film, it would seem that in order for the audience to actually like the characters, they needed to not take everything too seriously. By no means am I saying that this was Star Wars The Force Awakens, but come on.
No. The one I'm pointing to. No.
Kylo Ren's temper tantrums were within character, but went a little too far in a few places. Finn might be the worst in terms of not taking things seriously.
Hey, what? I'm in charge. I'm in charge now, Phasma. I'm in charge.
Bring it down.
Or for slapstick. In fact, I'm not even sure what the purpose of his character was. I mean, a black guy who didn't want to shoot his gun? Now this really is science fiction. Oh, shut up. You know you laughed at it. Look, I've had a couple of vodka Gimmels tonight. So I might say some weird things. You know, hey, well, whatever, you know, just like it's like, oh, fuck!
I like this thing. Hey, Solo. I'm not sure what we're walking into.
You just call me Solo?
Sorry, Mr. Solo. Why are you helping me? Because it's the right thing to do. You need a pilot. I need a pilot.
How do we blow it up? There's always a way to do that. We disable the shields. Kid, you work there. What do you got?
I can do it.
I like this guy.
You have to be ready for that. Oh, there's an access tunnel that leads... Why are you doing that? Why are you doing this? I'm trying to come up with a plan.
Ray could have found BB-8 and met up with Poe and Solo. Finn didn't have a big arc other than he decides not to run away and to help find Ray, who really doesn't need any help at all. Then he gets his spinal cord cut to shreds. Hey, guess what, Finn? Even though this is Star Wars, the Resistance doesn't have universal healthcare. They just have galactic healthcare. So you're probably gonna have a pretty big deductible. When Luke got his bill for that hand, he had to pay an arm and a leg. Thank you, I'll be here all night. Thank you, Cleveland. Also, I'm triggered on Han's use of the phrase mumbo jumbo.
Thought it was a bunch of mumbo jumbo.
This phrase originated from the African Mandingo tribe. A Mama Jambu was a masked dancer in their very sacred religious ceremonies. A white slave coined the term in 1795 by misnaming the thing a mumbo jumbo, hence the term. Show some respect for other cultures.
Thought it was a bunch of mumbo jumbo.
This is racist. This whole film is a racist nightmare. On that topic, number 10, The Diversity Awakens. Another clear product of corporate and committee thinking is the diversity in Star Wars The Force Awakens. And yes, I'm going to go there. When George Lucas made Star Wars, he was a rich white kid from California. He made a movie about white people in a dystopian future, and another film about white kids racing their cars their rich white parents bought them. That's the world that he knew. Then he made Star Wars and only auditioned white people, casted them, and then I'm sure there weren't too many minorities in the film business in England in 1977 to work on Star Wars. George later attempted to correct his whitewashing of science fiction by making a movie about black pilots.
I don't know, I was sort of ahead of my time with Red Tails. You know, an all-black film.
Oh, and I guess he also put Lando in Empire. But my friends, it's now a more diverse on-screen world we live in. And that's a fine thing. But do you remember when morons on the internet attempted to boycott Star Wars because of the two main leads? What was the fucking point of that?
It's mostly nitwits that get on there and start saying that kind of stuff. You know, of course that was going to happen. Yeah. Because there's a lot of idiots out there.
So we've got a girl, a black guy, a man of Latin descent, a Japanese or Chinese or Korean man, I'm not really sure to be honest, a black pilot, an Asian lady pilot, some Mediterranean-looking men, I don't know, Arabic, Greek, Turkish, who knows? C-3PO tried talking to them, but even he couldn't understand them.
Remember that I am fluent in over 6 million forms of...
Baba Ganoush! Then there was like a sassy black lady you'd see in a JCPenney catalog or some kind of advertisement for makeup. Then Han Solo gets confronted by the Japanese mafia, and then the Scottish mafia?
You're a dead man.
What the fuck? Now who are all the white people that show up in The Force Awakens? Well, there are 3 elderly people who are near death, a spoiled brat, an insane evil fascist monster, and a fat ass. The nice thing, though, is that in the background there's good and bad characters of all races and genders. Even crackers. Old white grandpa, young white lady, other black lady, bad black lady or maybe Latino black lady, old white nurse lady, bad Scottish guy, good Asian, bad Asian, etc. Just like in real life. I think it's great that we have 3 new heroes that are different than the previous generations. However, in a weird way, I think Star Wars has always been kind of immune to the whole race and gender thing. Just look at these kids from the 70s. The black kid is playing with Obi-Wan, and the white kid is playing with Darth Vader. I think only us cynical adults overthink all this stuff. If you're doing this diversity shit for the kids and for them to have role models or whatever, I have a newsflash for you. They don't give a shit. I have no doubt in my mind that teams of market research people from Disney cast this movie to be as all-inclusive as they possibly could. And you know what? They did a good job. It's diverse without being annoyingly diverse. But then again, this has always been a Star Trek thing. Star Trek was a show born from Earth, where races had a history of hating each other. Now in Roddenberry's vision of the future, a Jap, a Ruskie, a black, an alcoholic Irishman, an alcoholic Scottish man who's in charge of your engine that's basically a giant bomb, all work together in harmony. They hadn't quite tackled sexism in the 23rd century.
I'm still looking forward to a nice period of rest and relaxation on some lovely planet.
But that's a whole nother topic. Point is, Disney did a fine job diversifying things in The Force Awakens. But I think they wasted their time. The only ones who really care are people who are obsessed with diversity.
Sort of diversity of the cast is a given, I think.
And Hollywood diversity.
And there just didn't seem to be a lot of diversity there.
The diversity of the cast.
Striking, unprecedented diversity.
And fringy weirdos who think it's a bad thing and call for pointless and stupid boycotts. The vast majority in the middle, especially kids, shrug their shoulders. I think kids would watch a Star Wars movie if it was a cast of any race.
Here's the thing, I'm not casting the movies that are coming out, but if I were to, I would cast them as only Asian.
As long as it didn't bore the shit out of them. That's all I have to say on this element of the movie. Oh wait, just one more thing. Keep the Malaysians out of Star Wars. Those dirty people ain't never done good for nobody.
It also appears to provide prominent roles for African American, Latino, and Asian.
Okay, we got it. Star Wars is now as diverse as it can fucking get. That's fine. That's even great. But while we have all people of different age and race and gender, what we are seriously lacking in The Force Awakens is sex.
Tell me.
This is my other major problem with the movie. It's not a big surface problem, but more something that's always nagged me in the background. Now rumors are swirling about Poe and Finn being the first gay couple in Star Wars. That's great. That's fabulous, in fact. Then at least someone will want to fuck. What the hell's wrong with these people? Are they robots? Are they aliens? Well, I guess they kind of are aliens. Let me break this all down for you. Star Wars was always oozing with sexuality. You may not have noticed it, but your brain did.
Luke, at that speed, will you be able to pull out in time?
You came nothing? You're braver than I thought.
Get in there, you big Oreo! I don't care what you smell!
While they never outright said it, Luke was a horny 19-year-old guy who was desperate to leave his lame aunt and uncle so they could get laid. One more season meant another year of farming his own moisture, if you know what I mean.
But it's a whole nother year.
Then he sees Princess Leia's hologram and says,
She's beautiful.
Then we know this guy's got blood pumping in his veins and that he's a human and not some kind of asexual robot. In fact, going on an adventure, defeating the bad guys, and falling in love are all integral parts of an adventure story. Without the love or sex element of it, it feels somewhat shallow or lacking, and quite frankly, a little weird. Even the awkward and distant George Lucas knew this. Maybe the get the girl aspect is too cliche, or God forbid now considered sexist, but for me the lack of it made things feel strangely alien in The Force Awakens. Just look at all the humanity in the original trilogy.
Do you think a princess and a guy like me?
No.
While it's not some kind of overly romantic ending, Luke does essentially get the girl, sort of, although he'll later regret that kiss, and this little sneak peek that he does. I caught you! But anyway, you all know what I'm talking about.
Use a good kiss!
Especially this deleted scene of Han Solo that showed us just how sleazy the galaxy could be.
Nice moves, old man. Very impressive. Sweetheart.
Bitches leave.
Here, well, geez, I don't know what the fuck is going on. We have Rey and Finn.
You don't know a thing about me.
Their adventure should have blossomed into love. But instead it's like something? Some kind of weird platonic thing?
We'll see each other again. I believe that.
I mean, first Finn sees Rey and he's about to be all chivalrous, but then it turns out she's quite capable of taking care of herself. Then she's all hostile, and then it seems like he's trying to impress her?
Yes, I am. With the Resistance, yeah. I am with the Resistance.
Then later he's trying to ascertain if she's single or not.
Got a boyfriend? Cute boyfriend?
But he says cute boyfriend, and then he never really brings it up again. Rey showed almost zero interest in Finn, other than her appreciation for him coming to the Starkiller base to save her. Well, I guess they're just friends now. Is it because he's black? This movie is so proud of how diverse it is, but it shies away from a white girl kissing a black guy on the lips. Why the fuck didn't they fall in love? You know, like 50 years ago, Star Trek had the first interracial kiss on TV. It was quite groundbreaking. It was with Captain Kirk and Lieutenant Uhura. Would you shut up about Star Trek already? Talking about Star Wars, it's a totally fucking different thing. Shut up, I know it is. But it was out of its time, and it's important to mention that. They did that in 1960 something, and you know, they won't do it now. Just shut up about Star Trek. Stop bringing up fucking Star Trek. Wait a minute. I'm arguing with myself. Is that considered crazy? Maybe Finn had some kind of first-order surgery to remove any sexual desire so that he was more docile and complacent. Wait a minute, if that were the case, you'd think they would have done something to him so that he didn't puss out on his first mission. Maybe Finn is just into black girls. Hey, here's a good-looking one for you. Oh, wait. She's playing an elderly alien math teacher for some reason. Whatever. Speaking of casting, this movie went through the trouble of hiring Gwendolyn Christie as Captain Phasma, a tall, imposing female stormtrooper commander. But we never ever see her fucking face. What was the fucking point of that?
I am so honored that people say, my little girl loves dressing up as Captain Phasma.
Then Han suggests that we crush her to death in the garbage compactor.
Trash compactor?
What's with all the violence against women? How about they actually make her take her helmet off? You know, because she yelled at Finn for taking his off. And then we see that she's just a person. A sad, vulnerable person who's caught up in the machine of the Empire. Maybe Han feels sorry for her, shows a little humanity. Maybe she uses his sympathy to pull one over on them and tries to escape. And then Han, you know, he says, just tie her up. Tie her up and leave her here.
We relate to Captain Phasma because of her actions and her character.
You know, instead of the joke about crushing her to death in the garbage compactor.
Trash compactor?
'Cause she's a woman?
Captain Phasma, I think, is a phenomenal character.
Anyway, back to sex. So what's her excuse? Did too much sand get in her vagina? Does she know that men don't like sand? You know, 'cause it's coarse and rough and it gets everywhere. Yeah, I guess when the only man in your life looks like Simon Pegg, you don't have much of an interest in dudes. Hey, maybe she's a tomboy lesbian. And then the other guy's a gay.
George, bring it down. Bring it down.
Maybe that's why they're so awkward together and show absolutely no sexual interest in each other.
Women always figure out the truth. Always.
Wait, then is this guy a gay too? I know he's evil, but does his sex drive work? The Jedi celibacy shit is out the window, so why the fuck not? He's not Darth Vader. His fucking dick isn't burnt off. But anyway, here's Kylo Ren, and he's got a captive young lady on his ship. Hey, how about you be kinda nice to her? Try out some moves. Then maybe try to read her mind later. You know, how was dinner? Did you like the wine? Now where's the fucking droid?
Tell me about the droid.
I mean, I'm not sure I'd call Adam Driver a handsome man, but he's not fucking Peter Mayhew. We have all these youthful, attractive people. Let's give him some pizzazz. Some patented Carrie Fisher pizzazz.
Somebody has to save our skins.
Instead, everyone just wants to find that fucking droid.
Tell me about the droid.
Boring.
Come with me.
What about BB-8?
Boring.
We have to get him back to your base.
It's in a droid.
Follow the girl and get that droid.
capture the droid if we can, but destroy it if we
Boring.
must.
That BB unit, First Order is looking for one just like it.
So congratulations, Star Wars. You've shown us a totally sterile, loveless, diverse galaxy that looks like a university admissions advertisement. But you didn't have the balls to have a white girl kiss a black guy, or a Latino man kiss a black guy. I don't care who kisses whom. I just want a bit of heart. You know, other than the old stale done that already one.
When you get totally scared, you can totally use a hug. When you feel incredible, you can give an incredible hug. Because hugs are for everyone. Yes, hugs are so much fun. Let's hear it for the hugs, yeah! Let's hear it for the hugs, oh yeah! And I just wanna let you know that I really love your hugs. Oh, oh, oh.
Bitches leave.
Number 11, next year in a galaxy right here. So besides for the pointless film about how someone stole the plans for the Death Star, spoilers, it got blowed up. I like the fact that there are some mysterious things left on the table for episode 8. Not sure who Snoke is. I don't really know what Rey's ultimate character arc is. I love the look on Luke's face at the end. He's like, oh shit, you're fucking kidding me, really? You know, when Rey shows up with Anakin's lightsaber, it's like Michael Myers with a knife. Two things that were destined to be together no matter what you tried to do to prevent it. Is that where they're taking these films? I can't really imagine that they do something that isn't about someone turning to the dark side or being redeemed or whatever. Making Rey go bad would be a departure from the Luke story, but kind of blended with the Anakin story. Who knows what they'll do? But I'm sure they'll fuck it up real bad. Or repeat the same storyline as Empire, because it's safe and non-controversial.
Now, release your anger. Only your hatred can destroy me.
But please, Star Wars, take some chances. Hey, where's Gary Kurtz at? Call him up. Gary! Gary, hello? Are you there? And also, someone needs to tell JJ Abrams that you can't see other planets in the sky unless they're in your fucking solar system.
Vulcan has no moon.
Jesus Christ. I want some factual science in my films about space wizards, laser swords, and giant planet-killing machines. Till next time, you fuckers, it's Plinkett out.
That's it?
Yep.
Is that everything? Hey, well, thank you guys. Do you want to do another one?
Gentlemen, as a former and current murderer, I can tell that you guys aren't really repairmen. That's all right. If you're here to kill me, just do it. But do me a favor. Make it as painful as possible, because I haven't felt anything in years.
Gladly.
Good night, Mr. Plinkett. I'm afraid you've got a bad feeling about this.
No, oh no.
What is that?
I don't know, but it sounds like a Wookiee.
Oh God, it's me. There has been an awakening. Have you heard it?
Oh my God!
Oh no! Oh God, the force of the diarrhea tore right through my trousers. Oh my God, I keep shitting. I can't stop shitting. Oh my God, I'm literally shitting on Star Wars. Oh God, it must have been the steak volcano case of Macherito.
I've got to stop it. I gotta stop. I'm just gonna stick my thumb in there. I'm gonna get right in. Oh God, it's not working. It's not working.
So sorry. Now that's what I call the Force Awakens.
To my clips is I squeeze gas. To my clips is I squeeze
Oh fuck, I forgot to ask if anybody wanted a pizza roll. I've been eating them this whole time. I've been talking about Star Wars. If you want a pizza roll, just let me know. I'll send you a few in the mail. Just send me your home address, your social security number, your date of birth, and a photo ID. And then I'll send you a couple pizza rolls in the mail. After you eat the pizza roll, please remember to not check any of your credit card statements or if any new credit cards have been opened in your name, or any weird charges that might occur. You know, just enjoy those pizza rolls, but don't forget to send me all that crucial information I requested. Thank you!